Today, we were brought here to help address challenges that are found in the agriculture industry, and hopefully to give you an idea about how registered apprenticeships could possibly assist you in your occupation, in your jobs, and in your businesses. So just to start, apprenticeships, they are a proven training model. It's been around for several years. I mean, since the 1500s, we've had registered apprenticeships. They're commonly only thought about when we think of back in the olden days. We think of something along the lines of a blacksmith or more of the blue-collar type working environment. Plumbing, electrician, and welders later in time, apprenticeships have been thought of. But today there are over 1,400 different registered apprenticeship occupations in our country. They can include anything from healthcare, information technology, food service, many other fields that have already been established in South Dakota. We have some registered apprenticeships in glass blowing. We have registered apprenticeship in surge technology. Actually, one of, if you guys are familiar with Bear Butte Gardens, with Rick Grosick, they have a registered apprenticeship. They have a couple, and one of them is a general organic farmer position. So there's several different fields that you can go into: veterinary technician, ranch management, agriculture equipment operator, management analyst, meat processing, and general farmer. So I've already kind of went over like a little bit about registered apprenticeship, but the textbook description of registered apprenticeship is that it's industry-driven, it's high-quality career pathway where employers can develop and prepare their future workforce, and individuals can obtain paid work experience and receive a progressive wage increase, classroom instruction, and a portable nationally recognized credential. So what does that mean in short? First of all, registered apprenticeships are a job. They're not an internship. Registered apprenticeships are a job. When you get into a registered apprenticeship, you're hired by an employer. So that employer is hiring that employee. They are guaranteed a specific wage that apprentice is from the beginning to the end of their training, and they receive a federally recognized credential at the end of that training. So after they're done with that registered apprenticeship, they have a credential that they can show that they went through that, and hopefully they've been thoroughly trained in that occupation to the business's needs and requirements. Registered apprenticeships allow the individuals to learn while they earn by receiving structured and supervised on-the-job training. We require mentorship in that program to help transition that apprentice into the occupation. And then there's education that supports the hands-on training that they're learning as well while they're in that program. So they're getting hands-on training and related instruction that helps support that. Apologize.
So to kind of expand on what a registered apprenticeship is, we're going to break it down into three segments here: Earn and Learn, Training Plan, and Sponsors. Now, for Earn and Learn, it's a great tool for those that are entering into the workforce or perhaps making a career shift. And they serve as a faster entry point for these careers without burdening them with college debt, which is a huge thing. Now, if you're someone that's already working with a company, you're a tenured worker, this Earn and Learn kind of method here is great for you to have an opportunity to kind of reskill and utilize what you've already learned to grow with your organization. And then for employers, apprenticeships are great because they reduce the onboarding costs. Because those apprentices, are full-time employees right away, they make an impact right away. And so while they're serving a great talent pipeline that produces these workers, registered apprenticeships are going to guarantee that these apprentices have the skills that your organizations are going to need. And then looking at time or training plans here, apprenticeships are a training plan and an agreement. They're a formalized way to train people that is flexible and based on your needs and your uniqueness as an organization that encourages career building and lifelong learning. And then for sponsors, each apprenticeship has a sponsor. And what that means is a sponsor is who is responsible for these programs, reporting on these programs, procedures, all of it. They are the ones that are going to make sure that this program is running the way that they said that they would run it. And, making sure that they're going to follow the USDOL national requirements that are out there. The sponsor can be anyone. It could be a family farm. It could be an organization. It could be a business in town. Anyone.
I was just going to say, as far as the training plan as well, everyone that has a business, they probably have some sort of training plan of how they do things if they're self-employed and they're thinking about bringing on an apprentice or an employee. But if you've had employees as well, you already have a training plan in place. Essentially what we do is we take your training plan, we put it into the federal outline and submit it. It's formalizing it, essentially.
And so when you think about a registered apprenticeship program, there's really 5 core program components that we look at when building a program. And we're going to kind of go in depth more in each one of them. But the main thing is that partnerships are going to make your apprenticeship strong. Business involvement is essential and will keep the program strong. All 5 of these components are so important for your registered apprenticeship program. We can go on here. So to start off here with number 1, employer and industry involvement. This serves as the foundation of a registered apprenticeship program. The employer, they are the ones that are going to be providing that training, that on-the-job learning. They're going to be the ones making sure that everything's getting calculated. They are going to be number 1 crucial point in that program. For some of the programs that I've been working with, their involvement has been so crucial for their apprentices to grow and stay with that company, whether they were in year 1 or year 5. And just having that kind of involvement has allowed apprentices to want to stay and grow with that company.
They're showing their loyalty to their employees and helping develop that loyalty with them throughout the whole program, which really helps to it helps with productivity. It helps across the board because they've invested in their employees. Their employees, we're seeing, are wanting to help more and work harder in their field. The second thing would be the on-the-job learning through the support of a mentor. Like I was mentioning, with a registered apprenticeship, there's a requirement that an apprentice has to have a mentor. They have to have one-on-one relationship. It doesn't mean that that mentor has to be like looking over their shoulder the whole time while they're in the program, but they do need to be on property. They need to be on the job site or that area so that they can help and assist that apprentice if they're needing any assistance with any of the occupation. Also, the program requires 2,000 hours minimum per year, essentially. So if you have several of the occupations have been already vetted through industry, like I said, there's 1,400 different occupations. Sometimes the standards as far as that have been determined by the people in industry, it might be anything from 1 year, like Ezra said, to 4 years. So if it was a 4-year program, that's 8,000 hours total. It'd be 2,000 hours per year, just like a regular job, around 2,080, right? So it'd be 2,000 hours per year, and then it's supported by related instruction. The related instruction piece is the third part. So related instruction is technical instruction. Oftentimes it's seen in classroom settings. That's not always the truth, though. I mean, it could be taught by the business. It doesn't have to be through a post-secondary education facility. It might be a video that is teaching someone how to just basics of business or something along those lines. That is related instruction because it's helping to support the on-the-job training that they're doing, right? It also could be, technical college, a university. It can be accredited online program. Sometimes I will work with businesses and we'll look at sites. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Allison courses, but they're online courses that are fairly inexpensive and people can get a credential. it's training. So it's helping to support that. Per year, related instruction requirement is 144 hours of related instruction. So if it was a 2-year program, it'd be 288 hours. If it was a 4-year program, 576. That's minimum requirement. I mean, sometimes occupations might require more time. And when we say that, that means before they get their credential. Remember, it's a registered apprenticeship, so they're working the whole time. You're not sending them off to school and not having a worker while they're in the registered apprenticeship program. Number 4, all registered apprenticeships have to have a progressive wage built in, where the apprentice receives a wage increase in parallel with new and improved skills. So they'll start with, when we outline a program or we set up a program, they'll have a starting wage. They know the minimum starting wage that they're going to have. They have to have at least one increase throughout their registered apprenticeship. A lot of the time businesses, have their own structured increases per year. It would be however you would determine that, but at a minimum they have to have one, and then they also are guaranteed an ending wage. What's really cool about this, and it's a great marketing tool if you're trying to bring someone in to work for you, they know what they're going to start at, they know what they're going to end at. So they have something to build towards. And I don't know about you guys, but any job that I've ever had in my life, I've never known what my next increase was going to be, right? You're just hoping, because we all need a little bit of money to survive, right? You're hoping that you're going to get that wage increase. This gives them something to strive towards. And it doesn't mean that they won't make more. It's just that's the minimum amount that they're going to make.
So then the last one here for the core components is an apprentice is going to receive, once they complete the program, a national occupation credential. And what this is, it's a portable, stackable, nationally recognized credential stating that this apprentice has completed this program and understands what goes into this occupation. They're able to be recognized as a post-secondary credential under the WIOA Act. And what's great is, if I'm here in South Dakota and I get myself a farm worker apprenticeship program completed, I have this credential, but my family, my wife is deciding that we need to move down to Nebraska, and we know a farmer down there that's going to have us work down there. Well, I can bring that credential down to Nebraska, and I can say, hey, I've done all this work to prove that I know what I'm doing out there on the field being a farmhand. And then what's great about this national occupation credential is that apprenticeships just altogether have a heavy focus in diversity. And, for that, it just means we're getting more people into positions that may not have been in there before. They have a strong emphasis on quality of training and safety as well. And so what's great about that is you're going to be going through programs and you're not going to have to worry about any mishaps, really. We get to work with the business to make sure that safety is a main component of those programs.
I was just going to say also, as far as Ezra was talking about the National Occupational Credential, and I say this a lot of the time, but my family owned a machine shop, and I worked for my dad for several years, and some of you might have family working for you, you have children working for you. I worked for him for several years as a machinist, right? And then later on I moved on and I went into other occupations and so forth. But I have nothing that shows that I was a machinist for several years for my dad. I know how to run lathes and I know how to restore any cylinder heads and so forth. But if I went to a business and I tried to get a job in machining, all I have to say is, hey, you could call my dad. It's down in Shatter, Nebraska. I worked for him for several years. He's retired and the business is closed. So there's nothing really showing that. But if we would have had a registered apprenticeship, I would have had the credential after going through that training, and I would have that to show, yes, I did do that. And it's been vetted through industry. So if you look all across the nation, all different people in that area have shown that I've learned the occupation, and I should be able to work in that industry.
So we're talking about a lot of the core components of registered apprenticeships, but what are the benefits of registered apprenticeships? Well, we've got 6 big ones right here, starting off with the skilled workforce. They, meaning registered apprenticeships, are a pipeline of skilled workers. And many of the time we hear from organizations that, their employees are going to end up retiring. So how are they going to make sure that they can still have that physical labor? Well, people in our society are getting older and they are needing to retire. This allows you to then not have to go out and buy your workforce. This allows you to invest in someone and build that workforce. They're going to be skillful. And this program allows that then older employee to become that mentor and then pass on the skills that they were able to obtain while being employed there. And so what's really cool is we say, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone by using this program.
You're keeping your employee and you're gaining an employee.
And then reducing turnover, because there's so much of an investment that is put into the apprentice and into this program, employee loyalty is huge because of that investment. Our studies have shown that 93% of apprentices stayed with their employer after they completed their program. And a big fear that we hear from employers is that they feel that their apprentices are going to go to another organization after they complete their program. Well, to that, what I have to say is through those wage progressions, through the related instruction, more times than not, we have seen that people are going to stay with you because not only are you making the investment, you're building a culture with that individual. But then we also have research that shows that nearly half of U.S. employers who had registered apprenticeship programs have said that they haven't even worried about this at all. And in fact, 1 in 4 didn't feel that it was a concern. They felt that this apprenticeship program actually increased their employees' loyalty.
And you're always going to run into that as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, no matter what, even if you were paying them the best wage, there might be something that's going to pull them away from that occupation and they're going to go on to something else. So, I mean, it's still worth the risk. You're making the same risk that you would anyway with hiring someone that wasn't in a registered apprenticeship. It's just they're getting the credential after it and you're helping them.
And then with that investment, we turn to return on investment. We found from research that 97% of apprenticeship program sponsors in the United States are going to recommend these programs because every dollar that they spent on an apprentice, they received $1.47 back. And it's the same as any other investment. You're going to want to get a return. So through these skilled, formalized training programs, these apprentices are going to be able to be strong out in the field once they complete the program for you. And then improved productivity, with the focuses of safety and quality skills, those help boost morale and productivity in apprenticeships. It's just a staple. You're going to stay on point and on topic through these structured training plans as well, while letting it still be flexible for you. So then that gets us into customized training. Registered apprenticeships allow the employers to mold their employees to meet the business needs. And the employee doesn't have to, be retrained after they complete that program. There's a lot of flexibility that goes into that and uniqueness for each business. And then lastly here, which we find is one of the most important, is the accessible rural training that we have for our South Dakota businesses. Registered apprenticeship programs offer training opportunities in rural communities where businesses and communities can grow. And as we know, South Dakota has plenty of rural communities. And so what these programs offer are opportunities for individuals in your community to gain an education, to have a sustainable job, not have to leave your community, and overall just have growth in their life, in their community. An example that we have is that the apprentice doesn't always need to move away after college or going to college. They have the possibility of never coming back. In fact, I grew up in Chester, South Dakota. I had aspirations of being a communications guy there at Wilbur Ellis. I was going to go to college and go back. I didn't go back. I'm with Department of Labor. And so if I had this program, if Wilbur Ellis had that, I would be able to be there right now working for them and staying in the community that I love dear. Registered apprenticeships help us keep our communities together and growing.
Like Ezra, same. I grew up in Shatter, Nebraska. It's about 6,000 people down in the Panhandle. I came up to Rapid City. I was just going to go to college really quick, a couple years, move back down home, and run my dad's business. And I ended up staying up in Rapid City, which it was a good thing for me and stuff, but I kind of want to think that my community lost a person that was contributing to society down there, because that wasn't an option for me down there at that time. So it just really helps to, especially our tinier communities like that. So there are a few options for participating in registered apprenticeship. And we kind of touched on them a little bit, but I just want to break down who the main players are in this, and especially you folks we're talking to as businesses or the sponsors. If you were to ever build a registered apprenticeship, a sponsor/employer they're the organization that builds or administers the program. And when we say administer, there's paperwork that's involved, just like any other employee. It's just, we have a basic system that's called RAPIDS. It's, I can't tell you, I hate acronyms, by the way, but it's the Registered Apprenticeship Program Identification Database System. There we go. But when a sponsor develops a program, they get access to that. That's what they put their registered apprentice in, so that it shows that they are in the program, and then when they complete the program, they go into it and they say that they complete it. Doesn't mean all the paperwork has to be done in that system. You can keep paperwork and employee files the same as you always have. You just have to make them available. Like any other situation, if you were ever going through some kind of audit or some sort, you would have to have that to prove that they went through your program. But as the sponsor employer, they build and administer the program. They provide the mentors for that hands-on training, the on-the-job learning. They can provide the related instruction either internally or externally. So like I said, you might have your own training plan for a textbook or any kind of guides. Maybe the apprentice needs to run some kind of machinery on at your facility or your organization. Using that manual and teaching them through that kind of direction, that's that related instruction piece. So you might be able to do that as that related instruction provider, or maybe that you require a course in soil building and you need them to take an online class through Lake Area Technical College or through South Dakota State University. That would be that external piece for related instruction. The other part is a partner, the group sponsor. So the sponsor is who's in charge of the whole program, but then you have your employer. How else do I say this? So as a business, you could also go to a different sponsor, and they might provide the training for your registered apprenticeship. So your apprentice might be getting their on-the-job training and the mentorship through you as a business, but they would get their related instruction through that sponsor, and the sponsor's who's going to take care of all that paperwork. All you do is sign an agreement with them saying you're going to cover the on-the-job training. Does that make sense? Sorry, sometimes I do this all the time and think about it in my head all the time, but when I try and explain it to someone, it's all over.
Yeah, in a simple picture, I mean, Business A is a provider of education, instruction, training. You can partner with that individual program business that has an apprenticeship program and utilize that related instruction, but you would sign an agreement that you would administer the on-the-job training.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Go back to the partner.
You bet.
You couldn't have an apprenticeship or apprentice that would go between different, like, farms, for example. They would have to say a single farm business.
No, I think as long as there was an agreement with that sponsor, so we'll just say sponsor A is an umbrella business that helps businesses that are underneath that umbrella that joined by membership or something like that, helps them, right, organize things and so forth. They would take care of all of the sponsor like paperwork, but they could have a couple of those businesses providing the occupational training, and then they would provide the related instructions. So I think you could. I don't know if we have any right now.
I'm not pretty certain on going to different farms. You know, going to a different site is one thing, but, you know, that's something that we would be able to actually try and attempt to find an answer moving up.
And I'm thinking of one, actually. We do have one that was going to be we're building it right now. It's a different apprenticeship coordinator that's building it, but he's building a apprenticeship that's with a ranch, but it's going to be a ranch farm manager apprenticeship occupation. And he does not do a lot with farming. So the rancher doesn't. So he's doing the on-the-job training with the apprentice on his ranch. But then when it gets to the piece where it's more like soil and working with crops, then he's going to go to the neighboring farm and work there. So it's just not developed yet. It's in the process. So I think it is. I mean, it should be a possibility soon. So today we are here to speak with you all because of agriculture industry, correct? So the Registered Apprenticeship Program is a method for your organizations to recruit and train, retain workers with the right skills, that are customized to your own organization's needs, your equipment, and your culture. The agriculture industry is critical to our country's well-being, as many of you know, and economic competitiveness. The challenge, significant talent shortages are slowing manufacturers' efforts to expand, innovate, and excel. And among these challenges, Ezra already touched on this, is the aging workforce of highly skilled and experienced workers. So we have several workers now that are, as even with like COVID and just everything that we've went through in the last like 3-4 years, several people that maybe normally were going to probably work into their 70s, maybe even their 80s, like my dad did. A lot of them, they retired. They were like, you know what? We're getting out of this industry and we're going to retire and we're going to enjoy our life, right? That left such a big opening that has been really hard for us to fill, just because we didn't have people right behind them going into those positions. I don't think as a society we were ready for so many people to pull out of that area. So this aging workforce and highly skilled and experienced workers, apprenticeship can help, like Ezra had mentioned, to pass those skills on to new people that are moving into those areas, expand the knowledge and the long-term agricultural career pathway to those entering the workforce as well. If you you weren't raised on a farm or a ranch or in the agriculture industry, I don't know the first thing about getting into that field, right? So this would give me a pathway into that if that's what I wanted to go into, and then it also helps the business to offset the shortage of employees. You can help keep pace with the latest technology trends as well, because you're working with industry partners like myself. I help, Ezra helps. We liaison for organizations to help make those connections. If you were needing some related instruction training to help your employees and so forth when they're going through those programs, we can help look into that and put you in contact with hopefully the organization that can help you with that training. Also, the workforce challenges undermine the organization's productivity and profitability, and we all want to make a profit, right? So the good news is registered apprenticeships are a proven and industry-driven training model, like we said earlier. Thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit is we've had a 33% increase also in apprenticeship participation in agricultural registered apprenticeships over the last year, and that's just alone in South Dakota. So that's a pretty good step in the right direction, I think.
So how do we go through this process? We got a quick diagram here to kind of go over how we go through building a registered apprenticeship program. And it's actually pretty easier than you think, especially when you have us who specialize in building these programs for you. We explore. We're constantly exploring occupations for us to build in South Dakota, for you guys to then build as well. And just trying to figure out where everything is at. Who do you need to partner with? What are you going to need in terms of related instruction? And so then once we kind of start to figure all that stuff out, that's where then we go down the line and the fun begins. Designing the program. USDOL has, like we said, 1,400 occupations down. So we're able to get these training programs up and running and show you what they have listed for, sorry, my computer screen glitched. But so for designing those programs, they have templates ready to go for us to kind of look at what work activities are there. And you're able to take a look at them and say, yeah, we do that. Or we kind of do this, or we able to add this in. And so then we work through that and getting that in. Then we kind of shift gears to get ourselves some partners to see who's going to help this apprenticeship program be successful. Is it going to be taking a couple classes up at SDSU? Maybe it's Lake Area Tech. Maybe we got a Czech Allison course. Whatever you folks need, even, as Bill said with the one program, the partnering the farm down the way to learn crops. We're going to figure all that stuff out to make it successful for you. And then we take everything that we just did there and we build the program. We will meet with you. We'll show you how we're implementing everything, the wage schedule, the work activities, and you get to say thumbs up or, hey, let's change this. And then we will ship it off to USDOL for approval. Once you're ready to go, we'll build a couple other documents. And then once we get a thumbs up from USDOL, your program launches. And that's kind of the most bare bone design that we can have on how to build the registered apprenticeship program. It's very easy.
And we're trained in it. So, I mean, sometimes, yeah, it looks like a lot. It is. It's quite a bit, but that's what we do. We're here. We're the civil servants. We help you. So if any of it ever looks like it might be hard to handle or anything like that, we're with you all along the way. We'll meet with you virtually. We'll meet with you over the phone. We'll do email. We'll go out to your facilities, to your ranch or farm or any of those to help people build these, because we want to make sure that this is as comfortable of a process as it can be for you. It's to help improve your organization, and we really do care and want to help you succeed.
So now the fun thing that everyone likes to talk about, apprenticeship funding. As you know, or as you may have heard, Governor Kristi Noem did announce for the next 3 years funding for apprenticeships to expand and grow and strengthen in South Dakota. That number was $7.9 million over the course of those 3 years. And so what we're able to do as a team is not only assist you in building that program, we're able to also help you with the cost of starting up this program. And so we kind of have it broken down here into 2 bulletins and expanding it a little bit. And starting off with program development expansion incentives. For program development, this is for new sponsors. So you don't have a registered apprenticeship program and you apply, we're able to give you $15,000. And that is, it gets split, but that's, when we get down the line.
There's just a couple steps that you go through. If you were awarded those funding, those funds, we have a contract that is between the state and you as an organization that lays out everything that would be required for that funding. It's not, I know a lot of people are like, what's the catch? Well, there isn't a lot of catch to it. It's to help you establish this program and get it built. So I think there's 2 steps. It's usually set up as 1/3 is released to the business after they've submitted a program to the Office of Apprenticeship, which we have a director of the Office of Apprenticeship here in South Dakota. His name is John Bolger, and we just have one person that's that director in the state, and he's at the federal level, right? Because we're with the state, but we build a program that you submit to the feds to be approved. So that's, and then the second part is you have to have an apprentice in the program for, I think it's 180 days, it might be 90 days. It's in between those two right now. But after that, then the apprentice and the program has to be approved. And that's kind of how they would get that funding. It's always subject to change. It's laid out in the contract, though, when the business gets that. That way, if they decide they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. We're not forcing you into that port.
Yeah, but these funds help you start up that program. Let's say you're missing a tool or you need a little assistance with the wages to get just started with this apprenticeship program. You're able to use these funds for whatever you need. You know, if you already have an apprenticeship program or you built an apprenticeship program but now want to get a little bit more, you can build another occupation and we'll give you $10,000. And then it's the same process. Once it's approved, you get a chunk of money. And then once you have that first apprentice in there for X amount of days, we'll give you the 2/3 of it. But then another interesting thing that we have to offer from our funding are our financial services to support these registered apprenticeship programs. We have the ability to offer wage reimbursements, and that I've got a camera on me, so I'm being difficult with numbers.
In front of cameras, I'm not gonna lie. You want me to say it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Go right ahead.
So related instruction, we can support up to $6,500, $6,500 to cover the component of related instruction. So it would be a reimbursement to the apprentice, to the sponsor, or to the business. It would just depend on who is paid for that training. We also have up to $6,500 that we can do for wage reimbursement. Up to 50% of the wages of an apprentice for the first 3 months that they're in a program, and up to 480 hours. So there are a couple caveats in that, but that's what we do as apprenticeship coordinators, is we work one-on-one with the businesses to make sure that they're aware and we know what they're going to receive and they know. Mentorship. There is a $5,000 mentorship wage reimbursement, and that is one chunk of $5,000 to help reimburse the wages for that mentor. We have the ability for a mentor investment of $1,000. That $1,000 is to help incentivize, sorry, I said investment, incentive. It's to incentivize that mentor because, you know, you might be taking them away from their work a little bit, and you're giving them an extra job. You know, they hopefully they enjoy working with a new person and teaching them skills, but this helps incentivize it a little bit more and gives them something out of it as well. And then we have a $1,000 apprentice incentive as well that can help to incentivize the apprentice to continue through the program. I mean, who wouldn't want to because they're getting a credential, but you know, sometimes you have to give people a little push. So there's so many different funding options. They're all subject to change and availability of funds as well. So at this point, right now, we are offering all of those. And
It's free money. Mm-hmm. It's free money. There's steps. There's steps to go through. It's not guaranteed, but it's free money. Once we get you in and try and help you out, it's been a game changer for our apprenticeships in South Dakota.
We're investing in our own, in our state. So that's a feel good. I love that we're putting funds towards helping expand and hopefully developing our state even more.
We gave you guys a lot of information in a very short amount of time. So if you guys have any questions, we're here right now. We've got the whole rest of the time for questions. If you need a breakdown of any of the information that we gave you, we do have handouts up here ready to go for you. Any questions?
We work with businesses. We also, if you know someone that would be interested in going into an apprenticeship, maybe you have children that you would like to learn more about that. We have information about that. We also have some training resources that are available to anyone to use. As far as mentorship, and I can show that in just a minute, but we have mentor training. You might not be using it for registered apprenticeship. It's free to the public, so we'll show that. Also, we work for the Department of Labor, right? We're StartTodaySD, but we work for the Department of Labor as well, and we have job service offices that we work with. If you were ever needing help after you built the registered apprenticeship, getting that information out. Maybe you're trying to recruit someone into that position. You can always work with our local job service offices. It's free through Department of Labor at the federal level. You can post the jobs on their website. Maybe you're trying to attract people from outside of our state to come in. We're always open. So if you're trying to bring someone in, it's a national website, so anyone can see that, and maybe it would help to bring them in as well. Any questions so far? Yeah.
So do businesses usually build the apprenticeship before they have an apprentice, or do they have an apprentice, like someone who want to have that, and they build it along? Like, how does that work?
So we really want it to be sustainable, right? I mean, so the one thing that we would look at is if it's just for one person, normally you want it to be built so that if that person doesn't stay or they move on, then it's going to continue to bring someone in, right? Additionally, if you had someone that was working for you already and they might already know some of the competencies, some of the related instruction, right? There is an ability to give them prior credit. So we could build the apprenticeship, you could hire internally, and then you could give them credit towards their apprenticeship. And I know it's up to 50%, and then after that, it's subject to the Office of Apprenticeship, which is John Bolger at the state level. So he would just look at that and go, yay or nay. This sounds good. Yes, I can see that person's had that training. So maybe it's a 1-year apprenticeship and they've already done 6 months of the apprenticeship. So really it would only take them 6 months to finish it. It has some flexibility. I don't know. I've been working in this 2 years now, and Ezra's been in over a year now-ish. And there's just so many benefits and different ways that this can help your organizations.
And once you get what do you call it, like a occupational credential, so once there would be one for like a farm, is that easily transferable to different businesses, or is it very business specific?
Okay, so the occupation title. They can be kind of all across the board as far as the title, because yes, in like different parts of the country, the same occupation's called something different. So it will be wherever it was really first established is usually whatever the title is that's at the federal level, but we have the ability when we put them into the system to put an alternative title in there. So it would be whatever the occupation is at your business next to it in parentheses. That way, if they were to go someplace else, they could show that, yes, they did get that training. It's also linked to what's an ONET number, and that ONET number is a national code. So if anyone was to look that up, they would see that, oh, it is this. So they do have the training in that field. And I think that would help to clarify that if they went anywhere. Also, apprentices have the ability to go onto the website and they can print out actual transcripts and credentials at any time. So that's really nice. I just was working with a gentleman that had moved up from Colorado, and he'd moved back to South Dakota, but he did a registered apprenticeship a couple years ago down there, and it was in carpentry, and he had no clue how to get his credential. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, we can go online. And it was really easy. We went on with his birth information, and I think his SOCH, and there was a couple other things that we put into it, and it was pretty instantaneous. Had it emailed to him, and then he could go out and start applying for jobs because he'd already been looking, but he didn't have anything saying yes, he went through that training. So it's pretty cool. A little easier than a college transcript, actually.
That gets stuff then into a federal database.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, it's on apprenticeship.gov, which actually I could, I don't really have anything else on this. Let me, okay, duplicate, right? There we go. You can see my mouse, good. All right. So, oh. Back to the dual screen. Sorry about that, guys.
While Bill's getting that pulled up, what we're going to show you is the federal website called apprenticeship.gov. And there is just an amazing amount of information located on there. What occupations are registered in USDOL, how to get an occupation approved by USDOL if it's not specific enough for what you are wanting to do, as well as just seeing are there jobs available around here, and multitude of other things, how to verify your apprenticeship. It is truly a database of information that, you know, if you're ever on a government website, you know, it's tough to wrap your head around it sometimes.
Technical difficulties, I'm sorry, guys. Revert means, you know, like change it back. It wasn't reading. All right, so apprenticeship.gov, first website. So this is the federal website. Sorry. If you were to ever go to this website, you can see the different occupations that are out there. You can also see if you wanted to look for occupations that are in this area. If you were helping someone search for an apprenticeship, they can go on here. So the first thing I'll show is the Apprenticeship Job Finder. It's underneath Career Seekers. You just click there, and you can search for apprenticeship jobs. Like I was talking about, this is where you could post jobs that would be open. Oh, look at that, Bearview Garden. That's funny that it's there. They don't have, I don't believe, a job posting right now because they have someone in there. But if we go to apprenticeship programs, there's Bearview Gardens. So see, they have a kitchen at Bearview Gardens, and they have a farm equipment mechanic and service technician occupation that's there. Bearview Gardens also has an agriculture equipment operator. So this would be a way that if someone was interested in looking at occupations, they would type in that occupation and the area that they were going to, and they could pull that up and see, oh, hey, it looks like they do have a registered apprenticeship program. I'm going to call them. There's their phone number. There's this Rick Grosick guy. I'll give him a call and see if they're offering an apprenticeship at this time. Hey, they might be, they might not be, but I mean, it gets them the foot in the door, and they've made that first move. Sometimes websites could be listed. It also gives the name, so I always tell people just Google their business and call them. The worst thing that they can say is, no, I don't have an apprenticeship program right now, or I don't have an occupation open. Employers, there's tons of employer resources here. This is the occupation finder. So this is where we can see what occupations are available. So, farm? Okay, like what with farm mean? Farmer, general farmer? Okay. Yeah. Farm tech, farm contractor, farm laborer, farm hand, farm demonstrator. Let's say just farm laborer, right? Search. This will come up and it'll tell us immediately if the occupation is currently approved, where it says it's not currently approved for use in a registered apprenticeship program. But it gives several related occupations, and see this where it has that gold star? It says they're registered occupations. So the thing is, you can always look to see, like, oh, that one? Okay, so if you click there, then it gives a breakdown of what that position is, and it also shows the different titles that they might have. This is a great example, okay? So I told you, fish hatchery worker, right? Well, yeah, that was probably the first one. But there might be some alternative names that we could give it. Look, these are the alternative occupation titles. Cowboy, farmhand, farrowing worker, herdsman. So we could put that in parentheses next to fish hatchery worker. Now, really, in all seriousness, I would probably try and search a little harder. I know that there is a general farm worker 1 occupation that's approved out there. So we would probably do that one because we don't want to make it that confusing to someone. And then these are the competencies that they suggest down below for the occupation. So as far as the competencies, the hands-on training, the business has the ability to change them to meet their needs. There needs to be so much relationship through that. I mean, there needs to be, quite a bit of it needs to relate to what they're showing at the federal level it should be, but we still have room to mold it to your business, okay? So like classify organisms based on their characteristics or behavior. Maybe you might not do that in your farming occupation, so we would take that one out. We might put something in that's more related to your field. Let's see, what is it? I think it's called General Farm, maybe it's this one. Yeah, Farmer General Agriculture, this is it. So this is a 4-year apprenticeship. Did we talk about time-based, competency-based, hybrid? So there's 3 different ways of training. You know, some occupations you don't have to have the hands-on training as much. You know, I mean, you have hands-on training, but you don't have to have so many hours of doing that hands-on training, or you don't have to have the competency learned. The best way I can say is you can have it either based on time, you can have it based on the competencies as far as your approval if they've learned the skill that they need to learn. Or you can do what's called a hybrid, and that hybrid is a combination of the 2. So I like to think of, I have one occupation that is a kitchen aid that's gonna help at a kitchen. That one's competency-based and time-based. So they wanted them to have so many hours of experience, so that would be the time-based, but they also want to make sure that they're competent in the competency, or they know what they're doing. So they have to sign off on the competency as well. So that made it a hybrid program. So there's 3 different ways of usually putting that training across. If the federal government hasn't approved that, it would show it here. So it would just say like time-based and maybe, and that's it. Or maybe it'd just show competency-based. It wouldn't show all 3. The other thing, there's several resources on our website, which our website is the StartTodaySD.com website. This is where career seekers can go. This is where employers can go to figure out any information about building an apprenticeship. This is where our funding is that we were speaking about. We are a state entity, so all of this, of course, is out on and available to the public if they ever want to see that. Right under here is our Start Today SD Financial Services Policy. This is where we were talking about that funding. There's the $6,500 for apprentices' wages. Related instruction. This is like the labyrinth. I'm not gonna lie. I read this on the daily because it's fairly new. Even though we received the funding the end of April, it was all just recently developed this year. So we're all learning it, and we're getting it. So that's our job. We will read that and help you, but it is available for you if you really want to delve into it. These are also the resources that I was talking about. We actually have been working with Department of Education. We do present to schools and so forth, so we have an educator toolkit that helps educators to teach students. It helps to teach the educators. I could teach anyone about registered apprenticeships, so I always tell people, you know, if you're interested and want to learn in that type of way, it's a very easy resource to use. You just click on it. There's no pass or fail or anything, and it'll teach you all about registered apprenticeships, what a credential is, everything that we went over today. Also, the mentorship training toolkit is here, and this was that other resource. Even if you aren't building a registered apprenticeship, this is some great resource. Cultivating a strong mentoring culture, how career and leadership development, and then reverse mentoring. So those are the 3 lessons we say that mentors would need, mentees, the trainers would need this type of training, employers, and lessons for facilitators. And each of these modules is fairly fast. I would say maybe takes, it's not very many sections, 16. It's reading and watching some videos and stuff, but it's great learning material, and just a great way for you to learn about that, or your employees to learn about that. And then our contact information.
Are there minimum wage requirements?
You have to have, at least you have to meet the state minimum wage. Yeah, if the state minimum wage, was the same as federal, of course it would be that, but yeah, it has to be state. So it's 11.
11 now, yep, it's January.
11, 20? I think so. I'm sorry.
But then there has
We don't deal a lot of the time now with folks coming into that part. So
Well, I thought it was 1080, but
it was 1080. It just went up. Yeah.
it went up to 11?
Yeah, I believe it's 1120.
So if they're full-time, are they
Don't
entitled,
show Secretary
are they
Hartman
entitled
this.
to benefits?
Please.
That, for benefits as an apprentice,
If they're full-time?
As far as what?
are they entitled to having full-time benefits?
It's up to
That's up
you
to
as a owner, as a business owner with that. We don't regulate that. It would just be, you would be required to pay them at least minimum wage to start out. And of course, there would be an increase through that program and then a final wage. So it doesn't, most people aren't gonna do a penny, but what it does say in the regs is it has to be at least a penny or more, and then, of course, that final wage. So, yeah, at the minimum, it would be 2 pennies. But,
So if I understand this right, let's say that you paid the minimum wage or whatever, that you reimburse 6,500 and then the employer would be responsible to pay anything after that.
so, how the wage works, so it's the first 3 months that the apprentice has been enrolled in Rapids, which is that registered apprenticeship program, and then there is a piece in the contract that says that we would have to enroll them also within the first 6 months of them being in Rapids into our SD Works, which is our South Dakota database with the Department of Labor. It's the job search database, essentially. That's how we keep track of them and how we would manage the funding and so forth. So we have to get them in there within that amount of time. And then it would be within 3 months of us registering them in our system, we would cover up to 50% of the wages up to $6,500.
Yep.
Or if they hit more than 480 hours, we would not pay any more than 480 hours. Does that make sense?
It's a lot. And so when we're talking.
That's why
to
we help you with it
businesses,
when we're doing it.
We do have that sheet right in front of us because
Yeah.
For like 6 months, it seems like.
Yeah, so because 480 hours, it would be half. Remember, half of the wage, up to 480. So, like for example, if we were to do that, 1120 is minimum wage, by the way. I thought it was 1120, but like I said, it just changed and it was 1080 right before. So, so I guess for an example. Okay.
So when we hit that part where they're in SD Works and we're getting ready to have their wage reimbursement, we'll be in touch with you guys to see their pay stubs to make sure that they were employed during those 3 months.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll go through, I call it a wage calculator, but this is what we call Form 51 on the job learning agreement. We'll go through the total hours that they've worked, times that hourly rate, get that US dollar, and then we'll divide that in half to get that 50%.
So let's just think, let's just say 3 months. 3 months, we'll say 12 weeks, right? Four weeks, roughly a month. So we've got 12 weeks of pay, and we'll say 40 hours a week. So that's 12 weeks times 40 is 480 hours, right? So that's the 480 that, so at 480 hours,
Let's times that by 1120.
yep, 1120. So that's 5,376, but remember, it's 50% of the wages. So we divide it by by 2, 4.5. No. So $2,688 is what we would cover. So we would cover half of those wages. And then if you had a mentor as well that was mentoring them, right? Because you have to have a mentor, and if you'd applied for that as well in our application, it's an application you fill out and it comes to us, then it would be an additional $5,000. So there's $5,000 plus that, so that puts you over $7,000. And then $1,000 for that mentor, $1,000 for the apprentice, so there's $9,000 plus, you know, you might have applied for the $15,000 development funds, so, you know, you might be at $25,000 that you've received to help, you know, start this apprenticeship. So there's several different caveats that can help with that.
But that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be that liaison for you to kind of understand the maze that is what we have to offer you guys for successful apprenticeship programs.
You said it's a minimum of 2,000 hours per year?
Yes. Yeah, so just like a regular job, because they would be full-time. So that's just outlining that it's a full-time employee.
What if, like, part of what they're learning is seasonal, might only be 6-7 months of the year? Would they be doing bookwork during that time, or how would you handle that?
And it wouldn't be us, it would be the Office of Apprenticeship, the federal level. And John Bolger they would need to be working the majority of that year, because that's the idea of that registered apprenticeship. With that, they're learning and earning at the same time. So if they're only doing it half of a year, they would have to be earning a wage while they were getting that related instruction.
If they were working 7 months out of the year, we could discuss with Office of Apprenticeship, this is our seasonal work. We do have to cut them off because we don't know how long this winter season's going to be. But there will be an agreement to where in that cutoff, you will then rehire them to finish up the apprenticeship once the season restarts. Because that's something that they try to, it's, from what we understood in the last meeting that we had with him, it's pretty much an occupation type deal. So for farming, obviously, if we're working with crops, we gotta be able to wait on the season for it to start. We've got the winter coming up and finishing up, so, you know, if you wanna put them through school and pay for them to go to school, or pay them while they go to school, you can do that option. But there would be some step processes that we'd have to do to get the Office of Apprenticeship to approve the cutoff date and then the re-signing date to finish up the apprenticeship.
And we're there to help you. So it would, I mean, we would be there to help assist you, but you would be working directly with the Office of Apprenticeship to get that approval. And I can say, I know that there is some, there may be some changes coming at the federal level, and we will be informed of those once that happens. But I do believe, I think there will be a lot more emphasis on apprentices receiving the wages while they're the whole time, of course, for related instruction and the competencies. I think that's what we might see coming forward. I can't guarantee it, but.
So the related instruction, is that actually for the cost of the instruction, or is it, can it be wages while they're getting instruction?
It's the cost of instruction. So, okay, a good example, let's just say, okay, John is in an apprenticeship and it's a 1-year program, but so he's getting his 2,000 hours working at this generic farm that he's working at, but he also has to take a couple of courses in soil building through Lake Area Tech, right? And those courses cost, we'll just say on average, $500 per course. So that's $1,000. When you fill out that application, we would look at that and we would refund. If you paid the $1,000, we would pay you the $1,000 to cover that related instruction piece.
So he's taking the instruction, would we be paying him wages? Okay.
It's subject to, right now, if he was like in class during that time, you're not required to pay him while he's in
So
the
then
class.
it wouldn't count towards your 2,000 hours?
No,
Nope, those
that's
hours are
related
separate.
instruction. That's separate,
Okay.
yeah. 2,000 hours of competencies, 144 hours of related instruction per year. So, and he might be taking that class at night. So he'll be earning a wage during the day because he's working for you. So you wouldn't have to pay for that related instruction. That's why we have the option that we can cover it for the business or the employee, the apprentice. So, you know, that's something that we would work out with them. Any questions? Are we at the end of our time?
Yes, so, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. We have business cards up here, and we also put one of these little flyers in each of your bags, which you might have seen, and it does have our Facebook information. It has our website on the back and our contact information as well. So we're always open to talking more about registered apprenticeships. Thank you.
Before this group takes off, I just wanted to mention that our farm, Bearview Gardens, has utilized the programs for
They
several
know.
years.
We used you a lot.
Okay, I was in a different session, so I apologize, I wasn't able to come in on this session. But if you have any questions that you want to talk to us as a producer that is hiring the farm labor and developing that skill set, feel free to contact me. We've been
Appreciate
very
that.
happy
Thank
with the
you.
program. It's really helped us take the next step in getting labor and such. It was a good path for us.
The one thing I didn't mention about Bearview Gardens, though, is they have another program that they just did this last year with us, which is with a student from Sturgis Brown High School. So they did a pathway partnership that student is getting some coursework actually through Lake Area Tech. He's taking a course through that. It's a partnership between a post-secondary, a secondary organization, and the sponsor. So he's working for Bearview Gardens. He's getting a couple courses They're counting towards his secondary school through his high school, and then he's getting that post-secondary credit as well, and it counts towards his apprenticeship. And he's going to finish this summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just visited with him yesterday. He's super excited about that.
Yeah.
He's just thrilled about it. And yeah. And
Yeah.
we're happy as a producer to have that involvement and developing the skills.
And we're really looking at trying to, I mean, we only have a couple that are working with high schools right now, and that is a big push as we're trying to work with the schools as well to make people more interested in the different occupations that are available out here. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.